Vander-Bend Manufacturing exists to really serve as clientele, and I know that probably sounds like a salesperson's answer, but the reality is everything else that you desire from starting a company is going to follow behind that, and that's making a living, earning respect in the community. But the reality is we feel that we are here to service all of the innovation that's happening in Silicon Valley. Vander-Bend's been through a lot of changes in our 35 or so years, as you can imagine, in technology. Watching all the changes in this valley, we have had to adapt to, I guess, the how people do business. It's a lot more fast-paced now. I think there is it's more of a commodity, even though it's a custom manufacturing environment where people are just, they're printing out reports and saying, I need this and here's when I need it. And it's more robotic of a process, but we're desperately trying to put a more human experience back into the process. And we do that mostly through working with the engineering, the actual creation part of the business. We're really having to respond to the changes in technology in the sense of how companies like to do business. A lot more of it is an automated process, electronic triggering of deliveries, as opposed to just a phone call or a fax, or even just an email. Now it's an email generated from a barcoding operation in another building, somewhere in the world. Those things have really kind of changed the way we do business, but the fundamental core of our business really is dealing with the engineering and the creative side of what these companies in this valley are trying to create. And it seems like this is probably could be one of the premier areas that creation is happening, in which makes it exciting to be in the middle of it all. I always say that Vander-Bend's the dark underbelly of high tech. There's all these companies innovating, but they need to have their stuff in a package. We happen to specialize in metals, but being a contract manufacturer, we bring a lot of materials into play. But we work with the engineering teams, and frankly, the exciting part for us is, at the end of the day, parts are parts. We have 1,200 work orders on the shop floor at any given time, and it's part after part after part. Knowing what the purpose of each of those parts really applies meaning to it, and it's exciting because this is an innovative area and everybody's trying to build a better mousetrap, and we work with all the marquee companies in the area that everybody would know as household names, and it's just fun to be involved, even though we're kind of the unknown participant in this creation process. We think we're the intel of the outside. We're enclosing the intel, but there's a lot of intel that happens in that process. And we learned long ago that we're never going to get a whole lot of credit for that, because it's really what's inside the box. But a lot of times the box and the structure and the packaging of it is quite important, and that's where we participate. They have to put their stuff into something. In some of those companies, it may not be a consumer product that we're making for them, but they have testing requirements for those consumer products. They have reliability testing, and those are custom machines, fixtures. There's stuff that people just don't know the process that is very critical to the ultimate result of having your iPhone in your pocket. We do a lot of those things. We do work for Tesla, where we're making fixtures for their testing and for their assembly line. And we're not making cars, but we're making the things that support the activity of making the cars. Again, it's kind of the dark underbelly, really, back to that. We don't get any respect, but we are certainly respected within our micro community for who we are and what our capabilities are. I just feel like it's, I've been here a long time, and none of my friends can match the longevity at their work experience that I have had. And I realize how fortunate I have been to be in this little subset, micro niche of a business, and working for the same company. You get to push the rock forward and see the fruit of that effort over decades. That's pretty rare these days, especially in this valley. I'm just very fortunate that the Vanderbeeks have created this environment that a lot of us could grow as people and employees, and it really kind of is it's a cliche, but it's really kind of just a big family. It's a big dysfunctional family, like every family. We have our differences, but over time it all works out, and we all know what the ultimate goal is: to have just a very well-functioning business that treats its employees well. It's often considered a place that people in our industry would like to end up working. if they don't work here already. And that's always a really great compliment in the interview process, that people really just have looked forward to migrating to us as a company. So it's kind of a feel good, I guess, that it's a place people want to be from the outside looking in. You know, we have two plaques on the front lobby. One of them is a 10-year plaque and the other is a 20-year plaque. And we now are going to have to get a 30-year plaque. Yeah, you know, all the moves Vander-Bends have made have been due to expansion requirements. So it's been a constant growth for those 35 years. You know, we've ridden out some of the bumps of the economy, but for the most part, the majority of our activity has been a year-over-year growth. So we started off in the garage, technically, and then we had our small building in Sunnyvale, and we springboarded to our much bigger facility in Mountain View. We took over half of a building. We very quickly took over the other half of the building. And then we moved to Sunnyvale and had that building for quite some time, and then took over the building across the street. So it's been constant expansion. We then, after 17 years at that Sunnyvale building, or those two buildings, we then moved to another part of Sunnyvale where we had what we thought was going to be space easily for the next 10 years, and within a year we were looking for more space. So again, expansion and growth. And so we started collecting spaces in that neighborhood. And we got that up to about 5 different unique spaces, which in a manufacturing sense is very inefficient. So we always knew that we would probably have to try to find a bigger facility. And we had a fleet of golf carts and cruiser bikes with trailers for moving materials, and it was decidedly unlean from a manufacturing standpoint. So when it was time to find a new location or explore at least the possibility of it, we looked pretty far and wide for what was going to be our next facility, because we needed to consolidate it all and try to have a logical flow to the manufacturing process under one roof. And so we had some pretty interesting requirements, and we were kind of looking for a bit of a unicorn of a building, really. It had to be a single-story building because of the machinery inherent in our business. It had to be of a certain pretty large size. We're about 5 football fields here. And it had to have a fair amount of power infrastructure already existing. And with the city of San Jose creating what they call Renovation Row here, they took a lot of 1960s low-slung buildings and upgraded them. Some of them left at single story, which is incredibly hard to find in Silicon Valley because of this, the land is so valuable. And some of them became 2-story, but they have a few that were this building we got here. So it was really, we found the unicorn, and it was completely empty, so we could do whatever we wanted with it. And so we had an awful large expenditure for tenant improvements, but we created the facility that we absolutely have wanted. And we have a group of people here in management that have been 20+ years, and some people 30 years. So that continuity is kind of manifested in what we've created here. We all slowly realized over time what we wanted to see. And so this is the result of, you know, that dream, if you will. As far as other regions, I think that boils down to really just the kinds of companies that are here. The hotbed of innovation. This has been, you know, Silicon Valley's moniker for a long time. I can't imagine another place that's going to have the absolute depth and breadth that you're going to find here. We have so many different kinds of projects coming through our door that are from companies that are within a 5-mile radius, let alone a 20, 30-mile radius. I don't think Seattle or any other, you know, fairly burgeoning high-tech area is really going to offer that. You know, this valley has had ups and downs, and there's companies in our direct business that have gone out of business, you know, multiple instances of that, and frankly, we keep getting a larger piece of a shrinking pie from the manufacturing environment, but there's still pretty good amount of manufacturing in this valley, and it's an absolute necessity. And so I don't see that going away. And if anything, I see it kind of with the global forces of economy, you know, constantly changing. We've seen some stuff come back from low-cost regions, and kind of the world figure out what works to outsource and what doesn't work to outsource outside of the immediate area. Well, everybody focuses on the, you know, the Facebooks and the Googles of the world and the Apples and all of the big marquee names with the big fancy buildings, but you drive around outside of those business parks, and it's littered with manufacturing companies. A lot of smaller ones, but absolutely a huge quantity of them. As far as why San Jose specifically, it's very central. When we were in the process of deciding where we were going to move, we took into account demographics of our employee base, believe it or not, and of course our customer base, and where we were going to be best serving them. And we pretty much narrowed down that, city of San Jose was really, it is very central to Silicon Valley. It's the largest city, and it was really centrally located right by the airport, kind of a freeway hub. And that was really a huge deciding factor. And because we have employees that are coming from pretty far away because of the raw expense of living in Silicon Valley proper. And so we have, people that are commuting an hour and a half each day, each way, and we're kind of centrally located. Had we gone, say, up to the East Bay, where maybe it was a little less expensive, that would have been a real problematic commute. It would have been problematic for our truck routes as far as traffic, and the city of San Jose has also then provided incentives. They've been very accommodating in various ways, and all those factors really brought us to this building. I would say that the business climate now in San Jose is strong. It's this renovation row. I mean, all you have to do is drive down the street and you see all these refurbished buildings being modernized and filled very quickly. And the real estate values are going up, the rents are going up, and the traffic is pretty robust. And those, from an outsider layman perspective, those two factors of quickly filled buildings, renovated buildings constantly, and traffic, you realize that the economy is very strong. Our biggest challenge really is trying to attract talent, because we're competing with everybody else in this area. And I think we're probably in a pretty significant little bubble of business here in relation to a lot of other parts of the country. So we kind of lose sight, I think, sometimes that we are in a booming economy in this valley. I am looking for, basically kind of your mid-level type of employee, and that's a generic term, but program managers. We need people on the shop floor, but those are kind of unique talents. They're not just plug and play type people, grab somebody off the street. These are people that have a certain talent that is really no longer fed by the school system with shop classes and those kind of things. So getting trained bodies to be in front of the machinery and to do programming and the various necessities of the manufacturing process, it's quite difficult.